Welcome back to He's on Fire podcast, you guys. Coach Evan B in the house with y'all. We got some exciting news coming up, but you're not going to be able to hear that until next week. So you got to catch news for He's on Fire podcast. New developments have come our way, new friendships have formulated, and I'm really excited to share this. But first, we got a great show coming up. For the first 30 minutes, we're going to have the one and only Dan Duarte from Coast to Coast podcast. Fanning the Flames podcast. He's going to join us, talk all things KD, all things Aiden. We're going to get into K1 contract talks, get into David Peralta. We're just going to get into everything. He's on Fire podcast. Thanks for joining.
Urbanchi sets, looks up, and it is caught! Down strong! Blitz coming, Matthews, Palmer extending the play, crosses the field, Larry Fitzgerald. There he scores, it's over! It's insane to the 4-yard line. Crowder looking, throws it alley-oop. Oh! He puts it down! He puts it down! They're getting a little wobbly, but it's Adrian shot on you! The foot race! They won't get it! Center field! The Diamondbacks are world champions!
Hey, can y'all hear Evan?
No.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Now we
muted
can.
the whole time.
Oh, man.
Now we can.
Producer error. You know, I remember the days when Dan had all the time in the world to join us. We could have gone 1, 2, 3 hours even that one night. And now Dan is over here being like, I only got a half hour, guys. So Dan has hit the big time. We're joined by Amit, Jay Joyce, and Dan Duarte. And Dan, thanks for joining us. How's it going so far for you tonight, man?
It's going, man. I appreciate you guys having me. And no, it's definitely not too big for you guys. I had some stuff going on today, but you guys have asked me to come on a couple times now in the past, I don't know, month or so, and I haven't been able to, man. So I'm like, you know what? If I can get away for 30 minutes, man, I'm going to do it. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, man, we truly appreciate it. Westville, what's going on? I think I saw Roy in here earlier saying, what's up, everybody? Welcome. So first and foremost, Kevin Durant rumors. Obviously, they've been going crazy. You and Flex breaking a lot of things down, and you're always the first one to say, that's Flex. But just from the KD trade to Phoenix standpoint, if you were to give a percentage on it right now, what is the percentage of KD being traded to the Phoenix Suns? What would you give it?
Look, man, the great thing about doing the show with Flex is that man is probably the most positive person I've ever met in my life, man.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, he always looks at things from a positive standpoint, which I love. He seems to be very much in the Kevin Durant is going to be in Phoenix. He has said 99% in the past. So I'm going to stick to 99%, man. He's been saying it. All my conversations with him, whether it be on the podcast or in private, because me and him have 2-3 hour long conversations on the phone where I'm sitting here and I'm like, look, man, I don't know if this is going to happen. And he's like, no, this is what's going to happen. This is why it's going to happen, which is fantastic because a lot of the times I need that reassurance, man. And luckily Flex provides it. So if you're going to ask me to put a percentage, I'm going to stick to 99%. Kevin Durant wants to be in Phoenix. Obviously the Suns want him here. The Suns have literally made no moves since, other than some like minimum acquisitions here and there. So I'm still on that train, man, that 99% Kevin Durant's going to be in Phoenix. So I'll give you that percentage.
I mean, I don't know if you guys can hear me. I think I'm freezing a little bit right now, but I was in your DMs during this whole time being like, I just need something positive. I just need something positive. So I hear you. I hear you on that 100%. August 4th. August 4th seems to be a big date. Can you remind us why August 4th is so important? Tell us about that. And so everybody knows, that's like on Thursday.
Yeah, that's on Thursday. August 4th is it's important for a couple reasons, right? Because with this whole Kevin Durant thing, and again, I'm siding Flex, right? Because like I said before, that's my guy. We're really close, and we talk. He said this on our podcast. August 4th is the deadline for when LeBron James can sign an extension with the Lakers, right? And LeBron James wants a certain level of commitment from the Lakers, right? We've seen a lot of things, right? We saw the owner, Jeannie Buss, come out and say, hey, I wish I could talk to Kobe because, back then it was more about the team rather than one individual. You guys all saw that stuff, and, it opened a lot of eyes, right? But I say that to say that date is very important because, look, man, the Lakers are trying really, really, really hard to get Kyrie Irving on their team, right? And I feel like Thursday is going to be very important because at that point, if nothing has happened as far as the Kyrie Irving situation goes, then what happens then, right? Does LeBron James decide to sign a long-term extension? LeBron James is at the end of his career, man. He's got a couple, 2, 3, maybe 3 years left to try and win another title. And we all know he's trying to catch Jordan. That's another debate for another day. But he wants to make sure that the Lakers are committed to him, right? So basically what's going to happen is they're going to get to that date, and we'll see how far along they are in the Kyrie Irving negotiations, whether they're going to give up that extra first-round pick to make the Nets take, or whatever that trade was. I think it was
right.
trade with Indiana, right? So basically, we're waiting to see if the Lakers are committed to LeBron James on August 4th, and to see if LeBron James is committed to them, because if they don't want to make that trade for Kyrie Irving, they could easily say, we're not going to do that. And LeBron James can turn around and say, you know what? I'm not going to sign an extension, and you got to figure something out, because he's either going to be an expiring contract on the Lakers, who are a mess right now, as they were last season, or they're going to have to find a something to do with LeBron James. Are they going to trade LeBron James? I know when this whole situation started with the whole Kevin Durant thing, we had mentioned that there could be a strong possibility that even LeBron James could be joining the Suns. You never know, right? If the KD situation fizzles out, if something happens there, the Suns could pivot. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but it's possible.
let me just I mean, I don't want LeBron on this team, but I just want. So can we just go back through Sean Marks? Well, let me ask this question first. Do we know definitively if Kyrie Irving has said he does not want to play for the Nets and he wants to play for the Lakers? Like, do we have a source that has said that? Because I don't think there's I think it's all sources say sort of shit, right? Other than what we know for a fact is that KD wants to play with Booker, right? And the funny, so let's just go through the Sean Marks like timeline real quick, right? So when this whole started, basically KD, the rumor came out, he does not want to play with the Nets. He wants to play in Phoenix. I had to set a bunch of Laker casuals because they're like, oh, you guys are going to trade Booker? I'm like, no, Booker has no part of this deal. Like, you guys don't even understand what's happening. He's going there because of Booker. That's what's happening, right? Sean Marks at the same time thought, oh, maybe I can get an all-star player at that level. I can flip it and we can still be a championship contender, right? Knowing that whatever's going on with Kyrie, they don't know what Ben Simmons can give them. And he's still asking that price based on what happened with Utah and Rudy Gobert, correct? So, like, he's thinking, oh, I'm going to get 6 first-round picks and all these players that are either expiring or whatever, or tradable assets. He's not gotten that. Even around the league, he thought he could get Jason Tatum. No. Maybe Jaylen Brown. maybe not Marcus Smart, but just Jaylen Brown.
But they're
and
not trading within the division anyway, so that's
that's another factor that goes into it, right? So at this point, if you're Sean Marks, like, what are you trying to do? Is he really trying to like make a championship team on the fly, which already failed when he did that? When he traded away all the prospects that they had, Karis LeVert, all the draft picks, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, all those dudes, to get these three guys that didn't work together. Now he's going to do that again. Does he not know he's in full rebuild mode? Like, he's in full rebuild mode, right?
So Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. From what I heard from you guys is that he's going to take as much time as possible. If he has August 4th, 12:01, he's taking it. He's going until August 3rd, 11:59 p.m. Right? He's waiting until the very last minute at this point, as much time as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be even longer than that, honestly, because if you think about it, the reason why stuff like this takes so long is because sometimes you got to save face, right? So we have Sean Marks. What do we know about Sean Marks, right? You know, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving basically fell in his lap, like all intents and purposes, right?
Yeah.
Just like the Lakers just magically got fucking LeBron James and Anthony Davis out of nowhere, right? Same type of deal. They wanted to go there. They had two max slots open, and they went there. At this point, if you think about it, he traded for James Harden, gave up all that draft capital to get him there, and that didn't work out. That lasted what, a year and a half, a year really total. If you think about, in season. So at this point, I feel like Sean Marks has to save face, right? There's been a lot of rumors out there that he got a contract extension. I haven't seen that confirmed or not, whether that was real, because I saw a lot of rumors that he's getting a contract extension. I feel like if he would have gotten a contract extension, this would have been done already, regardless of whether it was for the Suns or another team. I feel like what he's trying to do, he's trying to drag this out as long as possible so that he can say, hey, I did everything that I could to get the very best possible package from whoever I'm trading for. That's it, man. Because other than that,
but you're saying that, Dan, and sorry to interrupt, but like he could have got DeAndre Ayton. Like he didn't want Ayton. They could have got DeAndre Ayton in that trade package, and they chose not to take him, right?
They could have. They could have.
And the way that this progresses, it's going more and more away from Mikal and Cam to expiring deals and draft picks.
Exactly. Which is why everyone who's who wants this to get done, yesterday, and myself included, man. Trust me, I'm burnt down on Kevin Durant talk. I'm done with it. I wish they would do it like either yesterday or today or tomorrow. Get it done, right? But at the end of the day, and Flex has said this all along, the longer this goes on, the better it is for the Suns.
Yeah.
Because if you want to keep a Mikal Bridges and just do expiring contracts, that's trust me, man. If this goes into the season, which I hope, oh my God, I hope it doesn't, because that would be a nightmare. If this goes into the season, it's going to get so much worse because look, I said this on our podcast, Kevin Durant is probably the greatest small forward ever, one of the greatest small forwards ever to play.
Arguably,
depending on how you see the position and who plays what. But
he's definitely the greatest scorer at that position.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
And maybe 100%. The greatest scorer in top 5 greatest scorer of all time.
Some say Larry Bird, but I'm the protagonist here. I'm just throwing that out just because.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, and I get that, but at the same time, Kevin Durant, he hasn't been easy to deal with, right? Say what you will, man, but
he hasn't done this before either.
Exactly, and if he wants to come to Phoenix, I don't care, man. What do you want?
No.
What do you want? Yeah, whatever you want, man. You want half a Camelback Mountain? Go ahead, it's yours. I just
all those other the Anthony Davis trade, right? The Anthony Davis trade, they gave up Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo. I can't remember all the other guys, but you guys remember how old Anthony Davis was then? I think he was like 25.
He was young. He was young.
We're talking about 34-year-old. Like, you're not getting that package.
Here's what I'll say about Anthony Davis, and I've discussed this before with other people. The Lakers started bidding against themselves, man.
Yeah.
They really did, because they made it very clear. Boston, I think, was in on it, and he said, "Hey, I ain't staying in Boston." And the difference was, I believe Anthony Davis was he was 2 years. He had 2 years left. He had that season and then one more left on his contract, right? Something like that. He didn't have 4 years left on his contract, so it was a little bit easier to trade somebody like that. But at the same time, the Lakers started bidding against themselves. I feel like they could have gotten it done with less. But,
Yes.
I don't know. That's just me.
No, I
So-
mean, yeah.
If James Jones can hold serve and just stay strong, and I hope it doesn't go into the season, but as long as he can do it, and if they can keep either Mikal or Cam Johnson, do it, man.
That's a win.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that.
So I know you got a few more minutes, and I want to get JJ's input here, but we're kind of going to rocket fire you. I wanted to start off the podcast real quick and say rest in peace, Bill Russell, a guy that won 11 championships. Me having the mute button on just screwed up my whole flow, but here we are, live podcasting. Bill Russell passing. None of us, got to watch him on ESPN or Friday night or nothing like that, but 11 championships. Where does that stat alone measure in greatness to you, Dan? Because we can talk about Tom Brady and how many rings he has, Jordan, Kobe, but 11, man, 11. And he broke down a lot of barriers back then too, a lot of Jackie Robinson type of barriers. So, but that aside, and just championships, where does that put you on the pedestal of greatness?
I mean, I feel like Bill Russell was always the answer to everyone's argument, right? Because everybody always argued, LeBron versus Mike, right? Oh, Michael was 6 for 6, and everybody's like, oh, well, 6 championships makes him the GOAT. Yeah, okay, well then what about Bill Russell, right? That was always the answer. Well, Bill Russell has 11 championships.
Facts.
So, I mean, what are we doing here? But I feel like Bill Russell's impact was a lot more felt on the, on the civil rights side of it, right? He played in a time when, you mentioned Jackie Robinson, type stuff, and it wasn't quite Jackie Robinson, but it was at a time where, the NBA, they didn't have, they were, I think it was still the CBA and the ABA. It was very much in that kind of, realm where they had different leagues going on. But Bill Russell was, I believe he wasn't just on the Celtics as a championship level player. He coached as well, right?
Yep.
He coached the team to 2 championships, player coach. So it's like, if you're trying to, find somebody to exemplify the greatest of all time, what better person to say, hey, I was a great player, right? I was on championship teams that were historic, those, Red Auerbach, Celtics, right? That he was on those teams, right, with Red Auerbach.
Coach, yeah, definitely.
I'm not speaking out of turn there, so sorry if I missed it by a couple years or two, but and then he was also one of those players, and I hate to quote another podcaster on here, but Bill Simmons, man. Bill Simmons did the Book of Basketball. I encourage everyone to go and watch. He actually reposted it today. The Bill Simmons Book of Basketball about Bill Russell and what he meant to the game, and social justice and all that stuff. Because there was a lot of stuff where stuff that happened back in the 80s, back in the 70s, where he was kind of the head of people saying, hey, let's not play, right? We saw that during the bubble when the Milwaukee Bucks said, hey, we're not going to play because of this unarmed black man that got shot by police officers. And if you think about it, Bill Russell was really, and it sucks that people don't know this, but he was ahead of them. He was doing that back in the 70s and the 80s when no one else really, I mean, the issues were there, but no one else was really spearheading that. And I feel like that gets lost.
Didn't have the balls like he did, is what you're saying.
Yeah, man. He had the balls to do. I mean, this guy flipped off Charles Barkley on national television. This guy had big old balls, and guess what? He didn't give any fucks, man. And that's all you can ask for, man. And a person like that, I mean, I wish I would have gotten to see him play more, honestly, or play at all, because I didn't get to see him play. I mean,
Right.
I'm 30. I'm 33 years old, man. Bill Russell. I know him as the guy that the and Finals MVP trophy is named after. So it's.
Yeah.
But you guys probably have better thoughts than I do. So.
No, just just briefly, it's everything that you touched on, and it's kind of one of those guys that you always saw in the background of big NBA games, All-Star games, MVP awards. You always saw the camera shot pan over to him. It's going to be weird not seeing him now. I'm not a Boston fan. I'm not a Celtics fan. I'm not the one that's going to be going crazy on Jason Tatum or Larry Bird stuff, you know what I mean? But you understand the importance there, and I get it. JJ, do you want to chime in with anything real quick before we get Dan out of here after a few more questions?
Just to touch on that Bill Russell thing. What a huge loss for the NBA, but he lived a very, very long time, very healthy life.
88.
Yeah, 88. That's a good run, man. I don't care who you are, especially he was never in a wheelchair. He was always walking around, standing on his own 2 feet, and he went to as many modern NBA games as he could. But like you say, he broke the color barrier in the early days of the ABA, NBA, and he was a standard of excellence when it came to performance, and he kind of set the standard for high level of basketball IQ and stuff, and he set the tone for the future to come. So even me at a young age that hasn't seen Mike or Charles or any of those guys playing, especially Russ, we know that Bill Russell is an all-time GOAT, and you can never leave him out of the conversation. So RIP to him. He was a very long life, probably best Celtic of all time. But Dan, quick question for you. Two. What do you think about those turquoise jerseys that are rumored to come out? And then secondly, do you have your eyes on any free agents or possible trade packages outside of the whole Kevin Durant ordeal? Is there some players that you think will fit in our system really well? I'm curious about what you have to say.
We just lost Dan Duarte. I was so curious to see what he was going to say. We just lost. I'm sure his wife just came out and said, "You're still on that damn podcast." I know he's back. Consummate professional. He's back. Dan, tell us what you think about the. No, you're all good. What do you think about the teal uniforms?
Oh, dude, the teal uniforms. So, here's the thing with the uniforms, man. I'm one of those people who I feel like people get way too bent out of shape about uniforms. I honestly don't care. Give me a championship. That's all I care about. But I get it, because the Valley uniforms, they did something to me, right? The teal uniforms. I'll say this about the teal uniforms, man. While they may look like a bomb pop, and for those of you that grew up in the 90s, the ice cream truck man always had the bomb pop, right? And that's kind of what they look like, especially the numbers when you look at it. Think of the bomb pop. I think they're fine, man. They may not be Suns colors, but that's not what they're meant to be. It's an alternative jersey. And if you ask me, I'm probably going to buy one. Because I'm a sucker. Man. Look, everyone hated the orange uniforms from last season. I fucking loved them, dude.
I liked them.
I love the orange uniforms. And people, and and this is a little behind the curtains, pulling back the curtains a little bit. The day that Kobe Bryant passed away, I was in a group chat with our buddies Justin and Paul from Fanning the Flames, right? And we're in a group chat, and they were like, "Oh, hey, what do you guys think of this?" And we were literally arguing about these uniforms, and they were telling me how terrible they were, and I was like, "I like them." And literally 5 minutes later, we were like, "Holy shit, Kobe Bryant died," and that's something I'll never forget. I mean, it's just one of those things where I'll never forget where I was and what I was arguing about when that went down. And it may not have anything to do with this, but I will say that when those orange jerseys came out, nobody liked them. I was a huge fan. I feel like those blue uniforms are going to kind of have the same type of reaction, as for lack of a better word, as the orange ones. I think they're just fine, man. I can't wait for the purple, mid '90s jerseys. Oh, dude, I can't wait for that.
That's gonna be sick.
That's gonna be so sick. And oh man, if I can get a Kevin Durant one after he's on the Suns, that would be amazing. But yeah, man. Other than that, I don't have any other thought on that.
Here's what I'll say real quick, and I'm trying to just enlarge my screen so you guys can see. I'm going to share my screen right here. So if anybody remembers when the NBA All-Star Game was here, you see the teal ones right there on the right. I'm trying to blow it up. So if we're going to go teal, I want to see something like this.
Yeah.
I want to see something close to that and pay homage to that NBA All-Star Game. Like that would be a nice uniform right there. That's all I'll say on that. I agree. Real quick.
Yeah. Those 90s ones were great.
And Jay, you also asked Dan if there's any other free agents or any other trades outside of KD that you could foresee coming. Dan, do you foresee anything?
I don't know if I foresee anything. I've seen your guys' tweets about Dennis Schroeder. I would love Dennis Schroeder here. If he wants to come here for the mid-level exception and be behind Chris Paul, maybe build up some value. As far as trades go, man, I've driven myself crazy with all kinds of Kevin Durant trades and multi-team trades. Man, if we can somehow get either Jordan Clarkson or Bogdanovich from the Jazz in a 3-team or 4-team trade, I would love that.
Okay, so that kind of leads me to my last question, unless Amit's got one more he wants to ask you real quick. But if there's a KD trade, we all know there probably has to be a third team involved. There's all this Knicks and Donovan Mitchell rumors, which, by the way, Flex said when I joined him on Suns Jam, the biggest kept secret was that everybody knew that Spider wanted to get to New York. He said the Knicks at that time, but said New York overall, which is obviously Brooklyn. He said that back in February or March, and now we're getting reports. That's how much everybody needs to listen to Flex, by the way. He said that shit in February or March. So, but do you foresee a huge NBA mega trade, one of the biggest trades of all time? Like, do you see Kyrie to LA, Westbrook to Utah, Spida up to New York? We get Kevin Durant, Mikal and picks going everywhere. Do you foresee something like that going down? And that's maybe why it's taking so long too?
I hope so, because that would be awesome to see, right? I'm here for it. Give me the biggest trade in NBA history. I'm here for it, and the Suns are a part of it. And we get Kevin Durant. Done. Let me see it. Do I see that happening though? Again, with me knowing nothing, if you ask Flex, he might have a different answer. But if you ask me, I feel like trades like that are a dime a dozen, and not a dime a dozen, are few and far between, because it's a lot harder to pull that off, right? Because all it takes is, I'll paint it this way, right? We're all roughly around the same age. Jay, a little bit younger, but think about the first few times you guys went to Vegas with your buddies, right? You guys all had a plan. Hey, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. How many times did that plan come to fruition?
Never.
There was always that one friend that either got too drunk, met a girl, whatever the case may be.
Got thrown out of casino.
That too. There's always that one friend that had to screw it up for everyone else. So that's kind of how I look at stuff like this. Again, with me knowing nothing, and I want to make that very clear, because people seem to think that, like, anytime I tweet or anytime I say something, they're like, "Oh shit, what's happening?" Right? Like, I'm like, dude, trust me. Just keep an eye on Flex's timeline, because I promise you, when I tweet something, it means nothing.
No, nobody listened to him. Dan knows everything. If you send him nudes, he will give you information. So flood his DM with nudes, and he will give you all the NBA information you can handle. Don't believe anything. I know you got to get out of here, but Amit, do you got a final question for Dan before we send nudes?
Just the thing, Dan, I know you wanted to get on and talk Batman. We will do that on an After Dark episode.
Dude, we have to do that.
Coming soon.
Oh, dude, let
me ask you real quick. Your number one Batman movie, number one Batman villain, and number one
Ooh.
Batman.
Ooh, this is a good one. My number one Batman movie. This is going to be controversial. The Batman is my number one Batman movie.
Okay.
Wow.
By
Rock with it.
very close margin
hear.
to The Dark Knight.
He's on fire.
You'll be surprised when you see my list.
So the Batman's my that movie was perfect in my and the great part about it is the second one. Like, people want to compare this to The Dark Knight, and I think it's actually better than Dark Knight, and I have my reasons for it, which we can discuss at a later time on a different podcast. But I have my reasons for it. But think about it as all you can do is compare this one to Batman Begins, because it's the first installment in a trilogy. So I'm so excited to see the second one. But all right, so that's my favorite one. My favorite Batman, and people are gonna fucking trip when I say this. My favorite Batman was Ben Affleck.
Man, you and me, Dan,
bro.
we're like
Rejected.
bro. Keep going, bro. Keep going, bro.
Wow.
This
Yeah,
is my
Ben
house,
Affleck is
and
my
I did
favorite
not invite you.
And the reason why is because when I watched the animated series, when I watched The Dark Knight Returns, by Frank Miller, all I see is Ben Affleck, and then people are like, "Oh well, babe, he just see." And here's my thing: if you watch, even people hate Batman vs Superman, the Justice League. If you watch Batman vs Superman, that was Ben Affleck was a scorned 20 years in Bruce Wayne / Batman that was pissed off. He's fed up, and he's also you see him waking up in the middle of the night with some random chick by his bedside, and what does he do when he wakes up from a dream? He takes a swig of his wine glass. That's right. If that does not epitomize Batman, dude, I don't know what does. It's fucking fantastic.
That's a
and I
washed
love it.
Batman, if you ask me. That's not like the.
But we haven't
Batman.
seen that before. I get that.
What
I get
years
We
in?
that.
haven't seen that. And I'll say this: Michael Keaton as Batman. I'm sorry, dude. A 5'9" Batman. I can't.
Yeah.
Watch the
Same thing with
very
Adam
first
West.
scene.
I can't do it, man.
I
Dude,
watched the
Christian
very
Bale is
first
jumping
scene.
out with green juice, doing push-ups right after getting out of bed.
Yeah.
Good point. But I'll say this because I know there's a lot of Michael Keaton Batman people out there. Watch 1989 Batman. The very first scene when he picks up that thug on the rooftop, he's
Yeah.
on his tippy toes because he's not tall enough. That is not Batman to me. That is not Batman to me.
Fair enough.
We really need
Alright.
to get into this because I have things to say. We could do a whole podcast on this one. I'm going to
Oh,
join you guys
dude.
when you do it.
I
Batman's by
texted-
far my
After
favorite.
Dark show a little
everything.
later this week.
I
whole Batman thing.
I
Real
texted
quick,
Jay
your
and I'm
villain,
like,
top
dude, I
villain.
need to be in. Oh, it's the Joker by far.
Joker.
Yeah, there we go.
By far.
But don't give up. Who's your favorite Joker? I mean, it's probably pretty obvious, but we need to save that. We need to tease something for the After Dark show.
Let's just say it's not somebody. It's not who you guys would think it would be. I'll say that.
I like it. I know you're a diehard Cardinals fan too. You think are they going to do good or no before you get out of here?
Man, I hope so. I feel bad for Kyler Murray. I don't like this whole last week has been a shit show. It sucks. It's unfortunate. I wish that stupid clause wouldn't have gone in there. I wish the local media wouldn't have blown it up as much as they did. I feel like it got way too much attention for what it was. That's okay, dude. Cover it for a day, but you're gonna go a whole week, just 2-3 segments a day. Like that's excessive to me.
Any reason to slander the Cardinals?
Yeah, the Cardinals, Kyler Murray. It sucks, man. It is what it is. But I hope so. I think I feel like this year they're probably not. Nobody's expecting them to do anything. So I feel like anytime Arizona teams, right? Anytime you're not expected to do much, they always overachieve. So, I mean, I'll take it.
I love it.
I'm right there with you. Dan Duarte, we appreciate you coming on. I mean, we could chop it up for another hour, 2 hours, I'm sure, just talking whatever. We're going to get you on again for After Dark. We'll get you on a preview show or something like that. And I'm also going to get your Fanning the Flames partners in here as well, too. So Man, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Tell everybody where they can find you and your work.
I'm at Dan Duarte 1 on Twitter, man. Catch me and Flex on the Coast to Coast podcast. It's a passion project of ours, man, and it's kind of taken off a little bit. And everybody that listens, we appreciate all the listeners, man. Interact with us, DM us, tag us on Twitter, dude. We love it, man. And if we don't reply, because Evan, I know you've tagged me on a couple things and I haven't replied, not by not on purpose, more because I just sometimes I forget. So yeah, man, find us there. Anything Kevin Durant, I promise you will find it there.
Boom. There it is. We appreciate you coming on. We'll get you on again. In the meantime, man, take care, and we'll chop it up on Twitter.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks a lot, man. You guys have a good night.
You too. Cheers, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, later, guys.
Later.
Great info. A lot of stuff there. Let's go back to this view now. A lot to unpack, gentlemen. Real quick, Amit, if you wanted to say anything about Bill Russell, I know we kind of cut you off there. Please go for it. Rest in peace, Bill Russell, by the way.
I'd love to. He's the definition of a champion and what you define a champion as to be. Not only did he just have grace when he won, and after he won, he was never cocky about it. He was always somewhat humble about it. And then today, I just caught myself on Twitter, just seeing a bunch of videos of him, talking to like Kobe or talking to Kevin Garnett. And even like I saw him like he was trying to throw hands with like Dikembe Mutombo. Like he was just like, you can get it. He's just a steady. He's like the constant of the NBA. Like he's always at the championship ceremonies, even though he's like almost 90 years old. He represents like when you win, this is what a champion should be like. And this may sound stupid or like hopefully it doesn't. I hope he talked to DeAndre Ayton. I hope DeAndre Ayton had a chance to talk to Bill Russell. I hope Devin Booker had a chance to talk to him, because it's not just about it's not just about your team and what you're doing, but the league, the game itself. And he really was the ambassador for the game. And he was an athlete, even though we go back and we say there was plumbers and whatever JJ Redick said about people playing in a league at the time, but you still have to win in a competitive league. And he did 11 times. Were they all? I think they were all in a row, right? They weren't all in a row, were they?
They couldn't have been, were they? So anybody in the chat knows?
I'm thinking of UCLA. I think UCLA won like 10 in a row or something. But he won 11 championships,
and he won he won 2 NBA championships as the first black head coach in NBA history.
So it just tells you like the guy knows how to win. So if he ever comes to you, and you guys got to go back and look at these videos where he's talking to Kobe or talking to Kevin Garnett, because it's not like him just like, hey, young blood, let me talk to you, whatever. It's like, I watched your video. I know who you are. I've watched your games. Let me just tell you something what you need to know. And it's and he said in both those videos where he goes, I couldn't be more proud of you than of my own kids. And it's just like somebody telling you that doesn't even know you, that has this status. It's just amazing. So I mean, we're gonna miss him. It's not like one of these guys that just, they lived a long life and then they died. He was actively in the NBA last year, like a couple months ago. Like, it's not like he would have been there this year. Like, he is somebody that we are all going to miss, and you don't even know why.
That's a great point. Rest in peace, Bill Russell. I saw more highlights of him today on Twitter than I probably have seen my whole life. And dude was nasty. He looked like Giannis before Giannis. So I wish we could have seen him play, but I understand the significance. And what a life. 88 years. We all hope to be that lucky and be that loved.
Yep.
JJ, we have a lot to unpack with Dan Duarte. As I said, we could have been chopping it up with him for the next 2 hours, but where do you want to start with what you have? What have you digested so far?
Man, it's just a waiting game. It's driving me crazy. My hair is growing out. My beard is getting nappy and stuff, So like, I'm just, sitting here trying to figure out what's the best route for us to take, because I forgot to ask Dan what my question for Dan was going to be, is there like a time frame in his head where we might have to start looking at different avenues if this KD thing doesn't come to full fruition. And that's obviously a thought that, that's driving me crazy. I don't want KD to change his heart. I want him to be more aggressive in this dispute, trying to, make his way to Phoenix. But, again, I don't want to get caught sitting on our hands. I don't want to drag this out and not get anything in return. I think running it back is still it's not my ideal way of looking at things, because we did that last year. We ran it back and just added a few additions, and it should have ended in a championship, but it didn't. So we need to make a splash, I feel like, and running it back, I don't think is the answer. We'll still be one of the top teams in the West, but with the Clippers being back healthy and the Nuggets and so on and so forth, it's going to be tricky and definitely a minefield getting through the West in the playoffs.
Minefield shit.
So, I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm hoping faith is on our side. I hope we can really put this together and have KD and Phoenix, with us only sending out expiring contracts and getting someone like Jordan Clarkson or Boyan back, or Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt would help with our rebounding issue entirely if we send out Torrey Craig and bring in Vanderbilt somehow. I know Utah wants picks because Danny Ainge is running the place. So I don't know. Only time will tell, man. But I'm not going to hold my breath, like I said.
I'm just waiting for that ball to drop, and exactly what you said. You know what? I just at this point, is this our fate? You know what I mean? Do we kind of deserve this as sports fans? So I'm just waiting for that ball to drop. I know that there is no timetable for anybody, but that's the risk. And this is what I wanted to get to with Dan. That's the risk that Sean Marks is taking. And I think Amit was starting to point to this a little bit. At what point, if it goes into the season, we saw James Harden in the fat suit, man. How good is that to have Kevin Durant be that malcontent through the season? Is it good for that team? No. And again, what he said,
just think about the other superstars on that team. Kyrie Irving is not committed to anything. We don't know where he wants to. So that's the other guy. And then you have Ben Simmons, who didn't even want to show up, right? Even I think he showed up to a few games, but he did not play. We don't know what his health status is. So those are their three top players. None of them seem to show any sort of commitment to that franchise. And then you have a coach who came there because of Kevin Durant, Steve Nash.
Who's not a good coach either. We love you, Steve. You're not any good, though.
Yeah, you're not a good coach, and you're not a rebuild coach. Yeah.
That is a dope shirt. Can you stand up? Is that the one where he's on his phone?
I know this is just his draft.
That's
Duarte,
sick.
Right?
I want the one where he's on the phone and he's like,
So basically, and if Sean Marks, if Dan is right and Sean Marks got an extension, holy shit, dude, their franchise is screwed.
He did. Their owner came. I don't know if you heard this. Their owner came out and said they would 100% rather have a team like they did 2 years ago with Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, those dudes that play hard every single night than what they've gone through for the past 2 years. The owner came out and said that.
Well, he's
right after the season
because they made that deal. And even back then, it's funny because you go and you're like, what kind of coach would this team need? Right? If they just got rid of these three superstars and they would need a coach that's feisty and knows how to coach young players and get them to excel beyond their potential. That guy was Kenny Atkinson. That guy is now assistant coach for Golden State Warriors. You had that guy the whole freaking time, man.
Yep. So, again, at what point is it you just have to trade Kevin Durant because he's pissed off, doesn't want to be there? Will Kevin Durant hold out? Has he told anybody? Is he still dark? Remember the report Chris Haynes came out with? God, it could have been 2, 3, 4 weeks ago for all I know at this point. But he said that he's gone dark ever since he dropped the KD wanted to be traded, So is KD still dark? Is KD still working out with Booker? Even though I don't know if anybody saw Booker was throwing hatchets in the woods today on his Instagram. I thought that was kind of cool. So at what point do you do that? And the mega trade part of it, there are so many Donovan Mitchell trade rumors going around right now. And I specifically remember being on Suns Jam and me and Flex are going back and forth about Donovan Mitchell wanting to go to the Knicks. And I was like, that means Julius Randle has to be moved. He's like, yep. The only caveat to that is that the Knicks really want Zion. They really wanted Zion Williamson. So how does that play in? And then they went out and got Jalen Brunson. So I'm sure that screwed it up at some point. But the Knicks wanted him. They wanted Spida. And now you're hearing all this stuff come out. First, you heard it to Brooklyn, which I wasn't surprised about. That makes total sense to me. And then here in Utah, in the Utah market, I am hearing a lot of Russell Westbrook being traded to the Jazz, and Spida still going to New York somehow, which I think would just be great. You give me Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverly in Utah in Jazz uniforms like you guys. I will go to every game if that's it. I will be a season ticket holder.
Brick City.
Give me all of that love there, because Utah fans hated both of those players. There was stories and published articles that came out about them. And Patrick Beverly tried to hurt Donovan Mitchell way back in the day when they were going at it in the playoffs or something like that. Patrick Beverly specifically went at Spida. So the Spida doesn't want to play with him right now. No.
And Russ. Yeah.
So
Pat actually hurt Russ. Yeah.
But dude, seriously, like I still wish Gobert would have been here for that, because if he would have had Russ Westbrook, Gobert, and what's his name? Just Patrick Beverly, that's like the least talented team I've ever seen in my life. I really wish that would have been
the most
case.
Emotional team ever that has no talent.
Yes.
Like these guys just be freaking out over everything.
Yeah. But that's the talk coming out of Utah right now. LA clearly wants Kyrie. Kyrie wants to be there. Could have been there. He could have just said no and turned it down and played there for $6 million, but no, maybe he'll get traded now. Or does Russ and Spida end up in Brooklyn? Or is it just, I don't think we can make a trade. And then there's all the Clarkson to the Suns, Bogdanovich to the Suns potentially. Like there could be another piece coming back. So like, that's why we're not making a move to sign Dennis Schroeder, in my opinion, is because we're waiting to see what a Clarkson bogey signing would kind of look like on our end too.
I mean, look, if the Nets really had the leverage here, their deal would be with New Orleans. They would ask for Zion. They probably wouldn't get him. They'd probably get Ingram.
They can't because they just re-signed.
Yeah. Yeah. So they would have to get Ingram, or they'd have to move Simmons first, but that's a separate thing, right? Even if they get Ingram with a bunch of, and they have all the Lakers draft capital, by the way. So that's the funny part, is that if they wanted to go after, if the Lakers are thinking, oh, we can get, excuse me, Kyrie, their draft picks, we're talking about 2027 to 2029. That's when their next eligible draft picks are. So we're not even talking about anything soon. So that doesn't even make sense if you're the Nets to even do that, even if you're trying to get off of him to get somebody else, because the Westbrook deal doesn't help you because he's a non-tradable asset. At least Kyrie has some value somewhere, right? Especially when you get closer to trade deadline. Let's say even the Suns, right? Let's say CP3's hurt, or let's say Dame gets hurt. Let's somewhere down the road, there's a place where he can play and make an impact for half a season to help your team. But like a Westbrook is not going to help your team. No. Right. And if you're getting draft picks that are like way out into like the next decade, like what are we doing here? We can go to New Orleans, get those picks straight up, especially because the Lakers, who knows how good they're going to be, and they're unprotected picks. So we don't even know how good that team's going to be in like a year.
Well, and the Lakers only tradable asset, which some people have said, other than LeBron, obviously, because everybody would take LeBron supposedly, is THT. That's their best asset. But then I also saw rumors that there could be a trade in the works for Kyle Kuzma to the Suns. And I was like, ew, what?
No.
I literally saw that the other day.
No.
No, I would never do something like that.
We want Bradley Beal. We don't want Kyle Kuzma.
I would have taken Thomas Bryant, but
well,
we were on that, but he's on the Lakers now. So, I mean, that team is a joke. There's all this stuff going around. Everything just seems to kind of stopped when there should have been a couple more trades involved. There's all these like back channel things going on that like there's just big thing coming. Like there's a wave coming. Like there's something that's going to hit the NBA. That's just there. And everybody has said that something is coming, man. And I feel it. I hope it's for the Suns. We deserve it. Maybe by next week there will be something. I don't know. But it was great to hear some of the takes. JJ, do you have any last things on it before we get to some Arizona Cardinals talk and our views go from like 20 to 3?
No, not necessarily, but the other sort of side of the coin that I've been kind of driving my crazy over is what Sean Marks values in players, because he didn't want DeAndre Ayton. And I kind of question that because I would take DA over Claxton personally. I don't know if you can, put the stats up side by side with them two together, but
Great point.
yeah. So, and then when it came to getting rid of Karis LeVert or Jared Allen, and like I've just questioned some of the moves he's made to try to get better. And so, if he didn't want a guy like Da, and he, like who's to say he, wants Cam Johnson or anybody else out there, and like who's to say if he values Donovan Mitchell as a number one? Because what I've been seeing a lot is that a lot of people don't have trust in Donovan to be that number one option on a championship caliber team. So, like, let's say the Nets do end up getting Donovan Mitchell, then what are you going to put around Donovan Mitchell to be as competitive as you want to
Nick
be?
Claxton and Patty Mills and Donovan Mitchell, baby.
Yeah, so like I don't know how competitive they expect to be, unless if there is a blockbuster trade that sends pieces literally everywhere. So I have no clue of what Sean Marks' thinking is right now. I know it's best for the organization, and if he's fighting to save his job and whatnot, but I don't know. It's a confusing time because those packages were out there with Boston and with the Raptors and early talks with New Orleans. And if I think KD's doing his job by saying I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to play there. And, those other teams knowing not to gut their team for a 34, turning 35, aging superstar that's a little bit injury prone. So I think
this is a good comment right here leading up with if Brooklyn gets Donovan, our expiring contracts are valuable to them so that they can enter free agency quicker to pair Mitchell with a star. I think that is a great aspect that I've kind of missed personally. That's a great point.
Yeah, if they get this done and they end up getting Donovan, I know with all those picks and stuff, and they're going to be relatively early picks too. So they'll be Donovan and the Nets will be able to have a young prospects coming in and just overall young core around Donovan going into the next few seasons. So I think that's the best route, but I don't know personally, but I'm driving myself crazy with all the the trade machine stuff. So
yeah.
It's really funny how bad these franchises are, man. No, because the Knicks, they want to put. So you sign Jalen Brunson way over, what he was valued.
They always box themselves in a corner,
and then you want to get Donovan Mitchell and pair those guys together. Have we not seen this before? Like an undersized backcourt. How does that work? Because you don't have a
6 foot and 6'1" backcourt, but y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It doesn't work unless you got Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman. You need to have a front court built like monsters.
Mitchell Robinson.
Well, one guy.
And RJ Barrett, your guy that's 6'6" with good length, is now your small forward.
And Obi Toppin is just a dunk machine. I don't think he's anything other than that.
Nah, I'm sure he'd get traded. But the Knicks saw something. They went for it. Somebody had the comment earlier, Jonathan Suggs, you're right. Timberwolves were aggressive this offseason, but the offseason's not over. I'm looking forward to talking to them when we have our upcoming, probably in a month and a half or 2 months, a preview of the NBA. We're going to have our preview coming up for the NFL in about 2 to 3 weeks. You're going to get on Alex from the 49ers Cutback podcast. Going to get Shakes Montana from the New York Giants podcast up here. He had me on recently, and try to get another 1 or 2 podcasters in the NFL and turn it towards NFL as well too. A lot of things coming up next week. Please tune in, you guys. We have a great show next week, and we have an exciting announcement next week regarding to the He's on Fire podcast and all these great folks that you've seen on here. Please like and subscribe to this channel. You guys, 1 subscriber away from 250. That's not a lot. And if we could have 2,500, I'd still be doing the same thing. But 1 more subscriber for 250, you guys. Share this out. Hit the like button. Subscribe. When something goes down, we try to break news as well, too, as best we can. Bees, real quick. I heard you were getting friendly in the chat on PHNX Sports on like one of the Cardinals podcasts. I heard Bo Brock calling you out. What is Bees doing or something, talking in the chat? And Johnny Venerable's like, no, just let him go, man. Just let him go. I'm curious to hear this story, Bees. Yes, I am going to have an NCAA football podcast in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to bring on some of our guests that we've had before, and I want to do like a good 1 to 2 hour roundtable podcast. We probably won't do it on a Sunday night. We'll do it somewhere different, but it will be live, and we'll release that as well too, because to me, NCAA football is losing its juice. It's losing its steam. I'm quickly not becoming a fan, and that was my favorite sport for a long time. I couldn't wait till Saturdays. Nobody was doing anything with on a Saturday with me during the fall because I was watching college football. I'm very disappointed in Arizona State, and in fact, I haven't talked about them in 3 to 5 to 6 months because I've been so disappointed. But the time is nigh with all the change in college football. I will be releasing stuff, and then we'll have a roundup with ASU and see how things are going. But we have on a couple players every once in a while as well too. So a couple former players as well. So stick along. And we had Jamal Miles on before the season last year. I want to try to bring Jamal Miles on again. He was a lot of fun. Plays for the Rattlers now. So Arizona Cardinals though. And we're going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals. Watch our views just go down now. Like we just had 20 a second ago. It's already down to 14. It'll probably be at 7 or 8 now. Just watch how this goes. Kyler Murray, contract situation. Dan Duarte just brought it up, the clause of him studying 4 hours a week. Like, bro, that was blown way out of proportion. Offensive linemen always have a weight clause in there, right? For your body. That's for your body has to be in this shape. Nobody has a problem with that, saying you have to be overweight to play for us. Nobody says anything about that and how unhealthy that is. But oh no, he's got to study for 4 hours. And everybody throws a fit. Like, if I had a list of 1 million things to care about, me worrying about any pro athlete studying is not on there. I get it's a talking point and you want to talk about it. Just say, haha, that's funny. It's kind of ridiculous. And yeah, it's a little petty, but it's probably in there for a reason. Then I don't know what to tell you. This is the most ridiculous thing to talk about for over a week. I don't care. I care about a championship and only that. So if people are going on about this, I mean, now we're going to see jokes, which sucks if we lose 28-3. We're going to have all these jokes how Kyler didn't study. There's already the short jokes on him. I mean, dude has proven everybody wrong. And I don't know what else he has to do other than win MVP and win a championship. But even then, people are going to say something. But do you guys give a damn about this clause? I don't give 2 shits one way or another. And if it was a big deal, Kyler wouldn't have signed it with it in there.
Right. And I think the team didn't. Who leaked this? That's the thing that we need to
it wasn't a leak. It's public forum. You can go in there. You can actually read it. Anybody can. Yeah. But wasn't it Rappaport that you said?
Rappaport got the early, he got the contract early and stuff, and he's the one who put it out. But it was public record a little after he, sent out that tweet.
So I mean, like the thing is, like, there's probably hundreds of players that have this in the contract. What I want to see is in DeAndre Ayton's contract, you have to dribble more than 3 times, at least like 3 times a game. Like, that's the one I want to see. That is the only thing I want to see. Like, I don't want to see anything else. Like, somebody has to study. Okay, whatever. Like, how are you going to – you can't even manage that. Are you going to actually physically manage that guy?
If you go through the app, you can see people logging in and how much time on each video they watch. So you can do that.
Sure. And HR does that to me too. And it tells that I watched the whole HR thing to do harassment. And guess what? I didn't. I let it play in the background while I did my work. Like, you know what I mean? Don't tell my HR.
Don't tell anybody at Amit's work that he does that. And if anybody needs to know, he works at the local grocery store down the street from him. Yeah. He's in the back. He's in the back. He's the stalker
I work for
guy.
my wife. That's it. She's only
He works at Blockbuster Video.
Yeah. But I mean, like.
Here. Okay. It's accessible by NFL employees. Rappaport was reading the contract to see the language about baseball and came across the independent study addendum. I knew that's what it was. I knew that's exactly what it was. So thank you for that. It's accessible to all NFL employees, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that's what I
So
got
it
confused
sounds
on.
like the language in there is to make sure that he's committed to football. That's what it sounds like versus baseball. If that's what that person is saying.
You could see it
So
that way from a certain point of
right.
view.
So it's just a legality at that point. It's just saying, hey, we want to make sure you're focused on football. You're not in the batting practice. You're not doing this other shit. I think that's it. It's stupid, dude. We shouldn't even be talking about that.
JJ, do you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, it was the dumbest shit ever. Like my Twitter was just flooded with like Good Morning Football people talking about like how bad of a look this is. I'm like, dude, okay, Kyler is by far the best Texas high school football player uh, ever. And then in college, he won the Heisman, and now he got drafted by a starving franchise, has not had any success, and he's been able to rack up wins in his first 3 years. I don't think you do that without watching film study and just studying the game. And like people are now breaking down the AJ Green play against Green Bay, and kind of blaming Kyler for it and shit. It's so stupid. It's yes, we have problems with the Cardinals. Yeah, there's coaching, and then there's egos and stuff. But literally,
Drunk driving GMs.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, drunk driving GMs. But dude, we have other things to worry about besides this whole what's in a contract and not. And I think Ahmed hit the nail right on the head about the weaving them outside of baseball and stuff. And I think that was just sort of something thrown in there. But I think Kyler's doing maybe triple the amount of film study than what was stated in the contract to begin with. I've seen other contracts with dumb shit in it, especially with weight regiments, like you said, for linemen and stuff. My uncle, he played for Berkeley, and the stuff he had to do just under UC Berkeley to keep his body the way that it was in film study. I mean, it's essentially the same thing. So to blow it out of proportion like this is so dumb. And then all the vets coming out and backing Kyler, they're like, this is really stupid. He knows a playbook better than anybody. Ertz was he literally broke down every play for me so I can learn the playbook as quickly as I did. And yeah, in Zion's contract too, he can't go over a certain weight limit, and it's so dumb. It's
cheerleaders
really
used to be hired as dancers, as dancers, so that they could control their weight and they could put it in their contract because that was okay. You can't go above 120, 125 or something like that. So
can we go back and look at Brett Favre's contract? Did he have an independent study clause in his thing too? Because how many he leads the entire NFL, the history of football.
Is he still
with interceptions? I think he does.
And wasn't there a thing when he wasn't going to film study?
I'm just saying. I'm only bringing it up because there's so many times in clutch situations where he could have just made the right throw. Maybe he didn't know the playbook. Maybe he was just confident. I don't know what it was, but you guys remember that Minnesota Vikings, right? That game where he threw that pick that cost them the game when all they had to do was kick a field goal.
That's crazy.
That's pretty bad.
336.
The next closest guy has 277. I mean, almost a full
George Blanda played in the 60s.
After.
That guy played in the 60s.
Vinny Testaverde had to play how many?
Yeah, see if there's any modern players that are up there.
Oh, it got even smaller. Let me. Frank Tarkenton, Johnny Unitas, Dan Marino.
Fucking insurance.
Sorry, it's ads popping up. I can't see that. Yeah, but good call, Amit.
I mean, it's just they're trying to find ways, and I really like what Patrick Mahomes said, where they're coming for him, they're coming for Lamar, they're coming for Kyler, right? It's just are we is it really about Kyler, or is it because of the color of skin, or what is it now? Why are we coming after Kyler? Is it because he's one of the newer quarterbacks that has Instagram, has social media following, that is really a freaking if you put him on Instagram, the guy is his highlights are like world-class highlights. We're talking about like Michael Vick type level highlights.
Damn straight.
Right?
Russell Wilson in his prime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything to tear down the Arizona Cardinals, but when we're good, you know what
Crickets.
they do? It just takes a second to get to that damn button. So, okay, I don't even want to get into this anymore. What I do want to talk about is things that are going on in camp right now. Everybody on the offense is there. Everything is looking good. On the defense, there's quite a few things. So I just want to hit on a few touching points, and then we'll go over it quickly. Defense, we had a couple low tier signings, right? Nothing huge that's going to jump off the page. Also, there's reports that Myjai Sanders, the rookie outside linebacker, is probable to start opposite of Marcus Golden as your other pass rusher. Interesting. Next thing, Nick Vigil and Zaven Collins are your starting inside linebackers. Jalen Thompson, the safety, my favorite X Factor player, is now calling the defense, which is just weird in itself that if safety's doing it, which it's not uncommon, but that's what's happened. And Isaiah Simmons is now moving to slot corner. I believe I read that correctly. So Byron Murphy on the outside, you got Marco Wilson on the other, and Isaiah Simmons as your slot corner. Interesting move. So a lot of things going on that we're just talking about now, and we still don't really have any good depth at the D line, and it's JJ Watt or bust. So big years coming for Zach Allen, Lecky Fotu, and Rashard Lawrence. 2 of those 3 guys got a hit, in my opinion, for us to have a solid defensive line year and to not get blown up by the run. Amit, a lot to throw out there. What do you have to take away from that? Or just we can start with one thing.
So, no, a Super Bowl team has a dominant pass rusher, somebody in the second level, and then somebody in the secondary that can clean up everything. So we don't have a dominant pass rusher. We had Chandler Jones, but it wasn't always consistent with him, right? Marcus Golden, same thing. It's not always consistent with him.
We have Marcus Golden, Myjai Sanders, and Devon Kennard right now as our pass rushers.
Right, and I don't like that. I'm not comfortable with that. If you're going to scheme for pass rushing, then it makes sense with the team that you have with Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, Budda Baker. There's some guys that you can scheme some pass rush with. But at the same time, I'm just like, we have too many hybrid players. You know what I mean? Like a Budda Baker, Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins. Like these guys are too many hybrid players that play too many positions.
Tweeners.
Excuse me. What are they really good at? Right? Isaiah Simmons, is he better in coverage or is he better on the line? Or is he better, in like being the mic or somewhere else? Like we have too many guys where we don't know what their actual position is supposed to be. We're just kind of putting him in then. And we don't have that guy. Who's the guy in the Chargers? I should know this guy. He played at Florida State. He was amazing. Miles, not Miles. You know what I'm talking about? He was like a safety hybrid linebacker dude, but he would line up everywhere on the field. He got hurt. He missed the entire 21 season. I think he played last year. I can't remember his name now. But anyways, we don't have a guy that's like a safe fall. Because I think like we all think of Budda Baker as this guy that can clean up everything. But you have to
Derwin James.
Derwin James, right? That's the guy.
There you go.
Derwin James. We don't have
Joe coming in from the Cardinal Ruled. There you go. Attaboy.
Yeah. So I just think that we are missing a dominant pass rusher. I think that would solve a lot of problems. D Ford's out there.
Yeah, like, man, I really wanted Javion Clowney, but, the Browns ended up picking him up a little early on into the offseason. So, Ahmed, I think you're definitely right about that. I'm definitely worried about the defensive line, considering our struggles with just the run defense last year, with even with Chandler Jones and the front 4 or 5. So, yeah, that's definitely my biggest question mark going forward is the defensive line and what we're going to do. I'm not necessarily hyped about having hybrid players in a sense. I think 2 positions max if it came down to it. Isaiah Simmons being all over the field was what we saw at the back end of last season, and there wasn't a lot of good shining moments with that. So I'm definitely worried with the D line going forward, but I'm very high on Zach Allen, and I think Marcus Golden will step up. He has that dog in him. That junkyard dog, like he likes to promote. So I think we can have a solid three going into it with J.J. Watt, Zach Allen, and Marcus Golden. But outside of that, I just hope Isaiah Simmons and have y'all heard anything about Robert Alford?
Still a free agent.
Still free agent.
There's talk out there that we have some, or who is it? Kingsbury said we have some room to sign some cornerbacks or defensive backs. However he said.
Yeah, as long as we can limit the run, the run defense and stuff, and try to prevent that as much as possible. I think we're pretty good when it comes to playing a zone when it comes to the deep ball. So I think just worrying about just the front line is our biggest concern and our biggest question mark.
There's a lot of question marks. I'm really worried about this defensive backs. Now we can talk about the safeties, the two Thompsons and Buddha, and we don't need to. This podcast touts those three in probably more than any other podcast. Arguably the best safety trio in all of the NFL. They don't get the love that they should. But when you've got Marco Wilson, Byron Murphy, Breon Borders, and Jace Whitaker as your listed corners, and then you're putting Isaiah Simmons in the slot, dude, that is not a good outlook. That's what I'm worried about. One, you can talk me into Rashard Lawrence being in his third year and Lecky Fotu, right? You can talk me into that. I can buy that. Okay, third year, we'll be okay. They'll make enough plays. You can talk the same thing about Zach Allen. We signed Kingsley Kiki from the Packers, who did good against us. You can talk me into that as a backup. Rookie Cameron Thomas, sure, let's go. Who else we signed? We signed Antoine Woods, and we have Michael Dogby back there. We can talk about that depth. Yeah, sure, you can go three deep, but at what point does the camel's back kind of bend and break? That whatever that is. At what point are those not solid NFL options to be starters? So we can talk about those upfront guys. You can talk me into Dennis Gardeck having another 8-sack season, right? We would all love to see Dennis Gardeck go crazy. Marcus Golden, we know what he does. Devon Kennard had 6 sacks in Detroit. I can see Devon Kennard getting 6 sacks, but I've said that for the past 2 years. These corners, I've got nothing good to say except I cannot wait to see Marco Wilson come out this year. I think Marco Wilson is a budding star. I think arguably better than Byron Murphy. Arguably, you could have this conversation. Mm-hmm. Marco Wilson is going to be awesome. I wish we could have seen Jeff Gladney. May he rest in peace. I really wanted to see what he was going to do. Another young corner coming in here. Marco Wilson, I think, is just ready to go for stardom for us, and I hope we can keep him. But man, Breon Borders and Jace Whitaker, Antonio Hamilton, those are all names of guys that gave up big plays. You know them because they gave up the big play on Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, whatever it is. Jace Whitaker's 5'11".
Well, here's a comparison. Like, you remember when we would put Patrick Peterson on at wide receiver? You remember those back in the day, like early in his career? And you're going, okay, there's a problem there that you have to put this guy. He's punt coverage. He's the number 1 cornerback, and now he's playing wide receiver. Same thing with Isaiah Simmons. If this guy is a linebacker or whatever he is, and you're putting him in the slot, that tells me you don't have depth at corner. There's a big problem. A big problem.
Well, I want to push back on that. Does that mean there's no depth at corner, or does that mean he's likely to handle a lot of like the tight ends at that side and do some zone stuff like that? Just, you think?
Well, okay. So I'm thinking man-to-man, right? So I'm thinking man-to-man. He's guarding the slot guy. But yeah, you can put him in there in zone. And then, yeah, maybe he's a little bit better in his potential than just manning up with like a slot receiver. But
I forgot about Josh Jackson, by the way. Totally forgot about this guy.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
He's not even on the ESPN depth chart.
I just feel like we're going into year 3 with Isaiah Simmons, and we don't know where he plays.
This could be a breakout year for him in general, though.
It
I
better
hope so.
be.
I
We
hope
have
so.
a lot of
so.
guys. We have a lot of guys on the offensive line and nearly the whole defense who are waiting for a breakout season. I mean, almost every guy that I named outside of Budda Baker and hopefully Jalen Thompson are on expirings. Like, somebody's got to step up. There's going to be tackles. Somebody has to make them. Watch it be Nick Vigil. He comes in with 110, right?
I like
He's
that
not the
guy a
guy.
lot.
I like
that
him
guy
too.
a
I
lot.
thought that was a very underrated signing.
Yeah.
But that's not the guy who I want getting the tackles. That means they're getting through the front. You know what I mean? And he's the one having to clean up. And that means it's not Zaven Collins. But watch it be him.
Yeah. I mean, Zaven Collins has to be in the gap, and Nick Vigil has to be there. And if Nick Vigil somehow leads his team in tackles, then we are screwed. We are screwed.
Yeah. That is not going to be a good sign. So little things are coming out in camp. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see what this running back room does. James Conner, Darrell Williams, Eno Benjamin, Keontae Ingram. Like, Keontae Ingram's a big dude too. Like, I'm actually really intrigued by this whole running back core, 1 through 4. Remember the days when we had Hyphen? He was our starter. And then the year before that, we had our 5th round, Tim Hightower. Yeah. And there was nobody else. Who was the dude that we got from Cal that was our starting running back in the Super Bowl? 2nd round pick.
I can't even tell you.
With Hightower, right? He was paired with Hightower?
He was paired with Hightower. Was it J.J. Arrington? Is that who it was?
Yeah, Arrington. Yeah,
J.J. Arrington.
Arrington, yeah.
Beanie Wells, bro. He was our starter.
Beanie.
I mean, I was the biggest Marcel Shipp fan you'll ever see.
Yeah.
But we've never had depth. Ever. But when we got David Johnson and Chris Johnson, that was the most magical 1-2 running back punch in Arizona Cardinals history. That was incredible to watch. But this might be better. Chase Edmonds always injured. I admit, you and I did not want Chase Edmonds back. No. Now we have James Conner, Darrell Williams, who can do 500 yards rush and in the air. Eno Benjamin, big X factor. Keontae Ingram, things are looking good coming out of camp. Every report I see is mentioning him. This is about to be insane.
You know somebody's going to get hurt, right? So the fact that you have so many X factors there, it just shows you, okay, like, we can still run the same schemes, or we can switch it up. But I wanted to switch over to tight end. This is probably the most talented tight end group we've ever had.
By far, not even close.
And the funniest part is we're still not going to have a 1,000-yard receiving tight end because of the depth and injuries and whatever happens, right?
Yeah. The Cardinal rule is in here. If you guys haven't followed the Cardinal rule, go ahead and go over to that podcast and follow him as well too. He's on YouTube. Maybe you could tell us, how is Max Williams looking in training camp? Because I haven't heard a lot from him. Is he officially on the PUP? I thought he was going to be starting this season, but Trey McBride, is he? Trey McBride, by the way, I do know that he is taking reps at first team. So that shows you. So we have him taking first team reps, and we have Myjai Sanders taking first team reps opposite of Golden. So that's 2 rookies potentially playing. Last year we had Rondale Moore, right? Zaven Collins didn't really do anything. That is interesting that we might have this many rookies play.
I mean, we got the offensive side is the fun part to talk about on this team.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're going to see a lot with D-Hop out missing 6 weeks. You're going to see a lot of double tight end or triple tight end formations now that are just going to be all over the place. All over the place. It's going to be little sort of pass control offense with somebody running the seam. It's going to probably be Max Williams if he's healthy. I mean, we're just going to see a lot of crossing patterns. You're just going to see a lot of stuff with this wide receiver group, that we have. And this team is going to – I mean, we're going to see Kyler really show us what he can do on offense.
Man, everybody give a round of applause to Amit, who has finally got COVID, but finally getting over it. He is crushing it right now. He's looking a little lifelike, and we're happy to have him back. So that's why he's coughing. He's getting over the COVID. So good on him. But me and Jay went on when we re-signed Zach Ertz. We went on and we were talking about right before as well that re-signing him and having him and Max Williams was huge for us. Absolutely huge. And then we get Trey McBride. Like an abundance of riches, JJ. I mean, double tight end sense. These are things you and I dreamed of, right? Not to get weird or anything, but legitimately, these are what we pictured best for Kyler because of Kyler being small and needing big bodies in there. And those are two big bodies you can place in the slot at either side, right, Jay?
Right. Yeah, like this tight end room, I'm very excited about a little more than our running back room. Like when we drafted McBride, I was just like, why? Like, okay, it's not a linebacker, so that's a positive. But why a tight end? Like, are we not bringing back Max Williams and stuff? And luckily, we are. And now we have, like you said, a abundance of riches of these great tight ends. Ertz, he's not the best blocker, but he has the best hands out of these three. And Max Williams, he's that middle ground that is the best of both worlds. And then McBride, he's a little quicker on his feet, a little pep in his step, and he has some pretty solid hands as well. What he was doing back at Dakota, I mean, he was grabbing some really bad passes, and he was making plays out of nothing. So I'm really excited to see these three. Obviously, blocking on the offensive side of things is our biggest question on the offensive end. I mean, we have the weapons. Okay, we saw what Joe Burrow was able to do throughout the season, and he got to the Super Bowl with a mediocre offensive line. Statistically, they're like and right defense. In the middle, but that offensive line was like trash. So, like, I think us getting Will Hernandez, he's a lot better than what Max Garcia was, and then Josh Jones will be back in his regular positioning, and then we have Rodney Hudson coming back, and then Justin Pugh, he recovered.
He's going to be better.
Yeah, he's going to be better. He recovered his ankle, and he's looking fresh. He's looking fit. He just got married, so all this stuff is. Coming in looking good for just Kyler's front end of things. And like Kyler, I just expect him to be, better, more his IQ, really showing, and just him not holding back, because we saw him after the Chicago game, him holding back things and him not wanting to run and doing all this stuff. Like, as soon as Kyler gets hurt, he limits himself a lot more than he should. So I really want him to focus on, diving, like sliding when he needs to, and not really prevent getting hit, because that was the biggest issue last year. But I just expect Kyler to be as good, if not better, than he was last year. So.
And to that point in the chat about the megawatt formation with JJ Watt, if we see JJ Watt and those three tight ends, it better be a running play, or it better be a Kyler sprint.
I got a hot take for you, and I'm willing. I'll make bets on this if anybody wants to take bets. But I think JJ Watt is going to have 2 offensive touchdowns this year.
I love
this. If he plays like at least 13, 14 games.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not injured and has
only offensive.
Offensive. Now, if he hurts his ankle in week 1 and then he's like hobbled the rest of the year, they're not going to do some dumb shit like put him on offense, right? If he's hurt, he won't go on offense. I'm saying if he's healthy, 13 to 14 games, JJ Watt will score 2 offensive touchdowns. I'm open to bets.
Bro, so look. I'll put this against you. I will say JJ Watt will score a defensive touchdown this year.
Yeah, like a fumble recovery,
strip sack, whatever.
Okay, I'm there with you. I could see that too. So he's gonna have 3. So he's on Fire podcast officially thinks
it's got to be one or the other.
One or the other. What's more likely to happen? What's fumble recovery? That's probably more likely to happen with us. Yeah, I think he's gonna get 2 though. I think he's getting 2 offensive no matter what. He's getting 3 this year. Now you've convinced me on it. He's getting 3 touchdowns overall.
Wow.
Do you know what I see? I see a jet sweep with Rondale Moore than with Max Williams and JJ Watt floating to the right and having Rondale Moore just behind, just tagging along, and then them just clearing the way. if we see that at all this season, I'll be pleased, even if we're shit in the bed. But well, I think seeing that would be really tight.
He's on fire.
I am very, very excited for sports now. There was a dead time there where I didn't want to talk Cardinals. I didn't want to talk Suns. Everything Arizona State was the shit. D-backs were up and down. Man, we didn't even talk about David Peralta. We didn't even talk about that. Man, seriously, freight train it up. Let's talk about David Peralta real quick. We're about to close it off. This is how it is on He's on Fire. There's just too much content to go around right now. I remember his first game against the Yankees, and I think it was 2014. He got brought in. It's like middle of May. We suck, and he goes out and hits a 3-run bomb. And I want to say he did it again the next night, and the next night. It was like 3 straight nights or something. He hit bombs in Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, and those were his first games. From that point, I was a David Peralta fan, and it's rare that we get that player in professional sports in Arizona. When your team is bad, you just get this one dude that sticks out above all of them. Goldie was another one,
I was
right?
about to say, yeah.
But then he left.
He didn't leave. He got traded.
He got traded, but he left. He left Phoenix. He's gone. Yeah. And he didn't have to put up with more mediocre seasons like David Peralta has currently. You get Shane Doan. You could talk Frank Sanders, Larry Centers, and guys like that are in this category. But man, David Peralta was the ultimate pro, the consummate professional, the quote you always hear. You never questioned him. You felt good in the lineup wherever he was, left-handed. You never questioned him in the field. He was always talking about how much he loved Arizona. And that's the thing that you don't get. When you're winning, it's easy to love a place. When you're losing and you still say that really hits home to a lot of fans. And the D-backs organization just continues to screw everything up, from the time that they traded Max Scherzer, from the time Richie Sexton got injured. That doesn't really count in a way. Should have re-signed him, but that's neither here or there. They have just been a dumpster fire of an organization. They get lucky a few times. They get a JD Martinez type of deal, and they kind of get lucky a season here or there. But David Peralta, I'm gonna miss him. Do you guys have any thoughts on Freight Train?
It's just a long line of trading away really good players for nothing. I mean, this is just what this organization does. Like, he wasn't like an all-star or like, MVP player, but you still trade him away. Like, your fans have a few guys that we can latch onto. David Peralta was one of them, right?
He kind of felt like Dan Marley to me when Dan Marley got traded. Like, we didn't get the return we deserved.
Yeah. But like the Goldschmidt deal, like you're trading away the best first baseman in baseball. Why? You have the best one. Why? What are you doing? Well, you're trading away prospects because you don't want to pay them, right? The Trevor Bauers, the Max Scherzers, we can go on the whole pitching list.
Who is the center fielder we signed and then traded in the middle of COVID? Starling Marte.
Yes. And his brother still is on the team, right?
Stupid. Doesn't make any sense.
Why would you trade the brother? Like, it just is so dumb, dude. I just can't get – it's hard because my son is actually like a Diamondbacks fan. Like, he wants to see them win and play. He loves the colors. He loves like all the uniforms and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, dude. We can't root for this team. And not because we don't care about the city or the team and what the team has done in the past. It's the fact that we can't support this group of ownership because they don't care about winning.
No.
Yeah.
They're right in line with the Pirates, right in line with the Orioles too. JJ, go ahead.
Yeah, it's I'm not the biggest baseball guy, but I knew this guy. I saw his shirts and jerseys everywhere, just as much as Goldschmidt until he got traded. And it sucks because the Diamondbacks, I feel like, have a lot of potential, and they just keep on taking 5 steps back anytime they acquire somebody out of a trade or in the draft or so on and so forth. Like I said, I'm not the biggest baseball guy. I did know of this guy a lot, and I saw his stuff everywhere, and I saw everybody that I follow on Twitter react to it, and it's definitely a big loss going forward. And yeah, the Diamondbacks are ran like the Oakland A's like in the early 2000s, and if not worse, we don't have good seasons or anything like that. And I'll always buy Diamondbacks hats because the fitteds go crazy, but the team is trash, man. Like stuff needs to change, and I don't
The
see it
best thing
happening
about this
anytime
team is the
soon.
drip. The best thing
Yeah.
is the drip. That's it.
The
They
drip
don't-
is
they don't have anything
crazy.
else.
Like,
Yep.
like the drip is
And I-
crazy, man. It's
And I
like,
love how they went.
with the
They went
patch.
to the red with the black rim. Yep, I got mine
Yeah.
upstairs.
Yeah,
This one.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's straight up. Like the fitteds go crazy, man. But
Dan Duarte was wearing a D-backs
yeah,
hat
he
earlier.
was. He was.
People love the D-backs, man. Archie Bradley hitting that triple, like, dude. People
trade
love
him.
the D-backs,
Just trade that
and
guy.
for them to do what they've done to every player. I mean, Chris Young, Steven Drew, definitely they had injury stuff. They traded away Justin Upton, obviously different dynamic there.
Upton, too.
Goldschmidt, AJ Pollock, they let AJ Pollock walk. All the Trevor Bauer, you said it, the pitchers that we had, the left hand
Scherzer.
Tyler Skaggs, may he rest in
Skaggs.
peace as well. And then I said Starling Marte. Like, there are a list of current D-backs that would be the best team in the league right now if they would have stayed here. There's so many. Brandon Drury is killing it right now as a second baseman for the Reds. Like, the dude that the fast dude that's on the fucking Yankees right now. That he's so fast, I can't think of his freaking name. That we just
Didi Gregorius.
No, Didi Gregorius is another bro.
Yeah.
Didi Gregorius was gonna be that dude, and we just let him walk.
Isn't Goldie on the Dodgers?
He's on St. Louis.
No, he's on the Cardinals.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Roster. Who is this dude that I'm thinking of? That plays for anybody? Max Scherzer. Oof. He has somebody has a jersey of his relief pitcher. No. I can't think of it, and it's gonna drive me absolutely insane.
Yeah, to sum up this conversation, Diamondbacks doing Diamondbacks things, like you have to start from the top. You have to, dehead the snake and, just figure some things out. An owner that gives a shit, and in a GM that's willing to not, look for trades that don't even happen, like just giving up assets for no apparent reason. It's this full circle thing every season.
Money.
Yeah, it's straight up money. So
all they care about is money, and it's absolute trash. And I'm really tired of this damn organization because I like baseball. I love baseball. I would love to be able to sit down and watch 9 innings a day. That'd be awesome. I did that when I was single. It was dope. We ain't any good, though. They don't want to pay any money. They have a threshold that they go over, and it's probably like 52 million or whatever it is. And here we are. We just get to suffer. On that note, David Peralta, we're going to miss you. And that sucks that we're in this position. And you guys suck, Arizona Diamondbacks. But catch us next week. We have a really big announcement we want to share with everybody with He's on Fire podcast fans. So please join us. Catch our Twitter as well. Anything you guys want to say before we head out of here, Amit?
I think we're good. I mean, I'll just say this, man. Like, I'm gonna throw this prediction out there that this Kevin Durant trade is gonna end up being a bunch of expiring contracts with not as many picks as you thought it was gonna be. That's all I'm gonna say.
JJ.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JJoyce, and me and Amit, we're going to shoot for an After Dark show sometime this week, maybe towards the end of the week. Evan, I want you to be on so we can do all this stuff, and I'll reach out to Dan again so we can talk about the whole Batman thing. There's going to be a surprise for the After Dark show. It's been in the works for the last, half week and so I'm really excited to, reveal it and stuff. And Amit, I'm wishing you a speedy recovery, dude. I think I had COVID relatively early, when it first showed up, because I was bedridden for a week and a half. But the tests were you had to drive to the CDC and like sit in the parking lot for like 2.5 hours. It was like that sort of thing. So I never got tested, but dude, yeah, that shit's no joke. But no, besides that, everybody stay safe. The world's crazy right now. Gas prices are finally dropping. So things are looking solid. So just be respectful and be happy, you know.
Be happy, bitches. Be happy. Tim LeCastro is the guy I was thinking of, by the way, the outfielder, played for the Yankees. And what about this one? What about former number 1 pick Dansby Swanson? Just who won a World Series. Yeah. That's pretty awful, Diamondbacks. Max Scherzer, Dansby Swanson, Paul Goldschmidt, Tim LeCastro, Starling Marte. That's a World Series team, y'all. And here we are. On the bright side of things again, starting after next week, so next Sunday will be the 6th or the 7th. I want to start going twice a week again because I think we're going to start having more and more content coming out. We need to do a preview show, which is going to take up way too long on a Sunday night or even a Wednesday night. We're going to need to do a college football preview show coming out. We need to bring on our good friends from 49ers Cutback. We need to have them on, go into some NFC West stuff. The KD thing is going to happen, and there's just more content. August is here. It starts tomorrow. Technically, for me, it starts in like 45 minutes. August is one of the best times of year because all the good stuff that fall brings you is starting to come to light. So get your lake days in. Thank you, everybody, for joining He's on Fire podcast tonight. We are 1 subscriber away from 250. Please subscribe to us if you haven't already done so. Share this out. We love you guys. We'll see you next Sunday. He's on Fire podcast. Peace. Peace, y'all.
Urkavici sets. Looks up. And it is caught. Down strong. That's coming. Matthews. Palmer extending the play. Crosses the field. Larry Fitzgerald. There he goes. It's over. It's insane. To the 4-yard line. Crowder looking, throws it. Alley. Oh! He puts it down. He puts it down. They're getting a little wobbly. The downfield shot.